Alright, hey everybody. So I'm going to do a bit of a companion piece to my interview with Shiloh where I go over pretty much everything I can think of in regards to um what got me to not like Edwin and not think he's trustworthy at all in regards to when he, tells his stories or makes drama videos or commentary videos or whatever the fuck you want to classify them as, and why I just do not like the guy somewhat with a passion, and what got me there. So, buckle up, grab a snack, grab a drink, do whatever you need to do before this to make sure you're comfy, because we are going to get into it. I've tried recording this before and it got to over an hour. So, yeah, and my ranting can go for a while on this topic. So, yeah, we're going to get into it because I'm going to give you guys as many details, thoughts, and whatever the fuck as I can. So, yeah. And I just want to emphasize this before I really start is that I don't think I'm a victim of anybody, but I was treated poorly at points. Some for some reasons I can understand, others not so much. But yeah, and other people were also treated badly. So yeah. But yeah, so this is mainly going to be the stuff connected to Edwin because there was other stuff that went on, and I'm going to delve into a little bit of it, but I'm not going to go into everything in this video. So, yeah. So, buckle up. So, very first start is in 2019. I started watching Edwin's content because of the fact that he was covering Onision. I think that's how a lot of people might have found him back then, is his Onision coverage. I was watching a lot of people's content on Onision. I got a bit too invested in that drama. And yeah, I probably got too, yeah, I think I just said this. I probably got too invested in it, and I realistically will probably never get that invested again in something like that. I probably keep up with something, but I don't want to get too personally invested or into a drama, because what I'm going to tell you guys next, yeah, I was just one of those people that was too heavily invested in it. So the next thing is, so I started watching his content in 2019, and I didn't know anything about him. I found his videos, I think, through YouTube's algorithm that recommended me his videos based on other ones I was watching at the time, like Repsion's, Jacqueline Glenn's, probably Blair White's, whoever was making like Onision content back then. Um, I was most likely watching them if I thought that their videos would be good enough, or if it was on something new in regards to this shit. So yeah, and that does include Chris Hansen's videos as well, like mainly just his live stream interviews on everything. So yeah, that didn't come until later in the year though. So then I joined Edwin's Discord server in, like, I want to say it was August or September of 2019, but I wasn't active in there. I just joined it. I joined a lot of YouTuber Discords at the time and before that, and somewhat since. I don't really interact much in them. I probably should leave a bunch of servers that I'm in right now on Discord, but Um, but yeah, I was just joining YouTuber Discords for the YouTubers that I was watching at the time and I liked. So yeah, but I wasn't active in them. I'm barely active in most of the ones that I'm in right now. So yeah, if at all. But to go from there, not really much happened in 2019 other than that. Um, then we get to 2020, where it was February, and the Shiloh drama had started. If you don't remember what that was, or you weren't there, the Shiloh drama was just honestly stupid from a lot of angles. Basically, Shiloh overreacted to something Nick Diorio was doing at the time, or something Nick Diorio had done, which was accuse Sarah of being an e-beggar and reveal what that Sarah had said in DMs with him, that she had gotten enough money for her laptop fund, and she apparently had said to someone else that she was still accepting donations or something like that, and he thought that was inconsistent, so he revealed their DMs with her saying the opposite or whatever. And I'm just gonna say this in regards to the fundraiser. I don't know why Nick cared. He said that his biggest contention was Venmo. Personally, I think his biggest contention was the fact that like she was doing the fundraiser and people were donating to it and everything. To say this, I also don't think that Sarah was doing anything actively malicious with that. She legit just sent off the laptop that she had, that she bought from Onision Kai, off to the FBI to get the hard drive analyzed and everything. Granted, she gave it to Chris Hansen before that, and he and Vincent Nicotra broke the fucking chain of custody, and instead of just sending it into the FBI, they just kept it in Chris Hansen's office, I believe, or was it Nicotra's? Either way, one of their offices for months, and Nicotra admitted that he wanted to, he wanted to copy the hard drive for reasons I don't know. And yeah, then Sarah got it back, and then she sent it into the FBI herself, which I think she should have done in the first place. But granted, she also trusted Chris Hansen and Vincent Nicotra at the time. But yeah, so she finally sent it into the FBI. She needed a new laptop due to going to school, I believe, later in the year, to college and whatever. And in this day and age, you do need a computer of some kind to interact with most of the rest of the world when it comes to jobs and the internet and everything. And she didn't have that anymore because she had sent in the laptop that she had to Onision Kai. On top of that, she's not the most affluent person, or at least wasn't at the time. And you got to remember, this was like 3 years ago, and she was like 19 or close to 19, I think, at the time. So she didn't have a ton of money, and I don't know if she would have, or she could have gotten a lot of financial support from her parents, considering her home life was so bad that, her mom gave Onision Kai power of attorney over her and let her live with them on and off for about, I think, 2 or 3 years. So, yeah, that's kind of just, that's just kind of fucked. And I hope Sarah's doing well these days. I don't know how online she is or how much she shares about her life online, but I hope she's doing well. But, so she was doing the fundraiser through Venmo rather than something like GoFundMe. The thing about Venmo is you don't have to pay tax on Venmo or whatever, and you can transfer. I think you can transfer the money to PayPal, and you can use Venmo as a way to pay for shit. And on top of that, it's much quicker to use cash that you get, or e-currency that you get through Venmo, to pay for something online than it is through GoFundMe, because GoFundMe, you have to set up a timetable and everything where you get the donations and everything, and then you use it. On top of that, you don't get the Venmo doesn't get a cut of the money and everything. So yeah, and I think that was okay. On top of that, like, we see a lot of these other we see a lot of YouTubers and whatever do either fundraisers or they have a way for their fans to monetarily support them, whether it's YouTube channel memberships, Patreon donations, sometimes fundraisers, but not a lot. If you're on Twitch, you get bits, and then also money from subscriptions and everything to your Twitch account. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me that Nick would really be so up in arms about Sarah's thing, because it's just like, for one, it's none of his business, and two, why? But yeah, and on top of that, like, the people who were donating to Sarah's like fundraiser at the time, they were willing to give her the money, and she was willing to send it back if they if they regretted sending her the money. So yeah, I really don't understand what the big deal was with that situation. But anyways, I just think that whole situation was dumb. But then Shiloh came in because she felt she was like Mama Bear, I believe, to Sarah and some of the other Onision victims, and Sarah and her had started a friendship, and yeah, but the way that she reacted to it was way too much, way too over the top, and what she did was have a tweet that quote tweeted Nick, I believe, and said, or screenshotted what he said, and said, "Please report at Nicholas Diorio," and whatever else she said, and then hashtag the platform predators. And I don't personally think this probably, I don't know why this needs to be said, but I don't personally think that Shiloh was calling him a predator, and other people have come to this conclusion as well. I don't think she was calling him a predator. What she was doing was using the hashtag to alert people to what she wanted them to. This is, I think, a very grievous misuse of her power and influence, and this was not the move to do. So yeah, just to say that. And I've been rereading through DMs that I had at the time that I had with Edwin, which I'll get to in a second. And I still agree with my past self. I don't agree with a lot of what I said in those DMs, but one thing I agree with my past self on was that people were trying to, and I think Shiloh herself was trying to blame what she did on her PTSD or trauma or whatever, when it's just like, you don't normally do these things when it comes to trauma. And then on top of that, it is still your decision to do that. And what Shiloh did seriously legitimately put Nick's Twitter account in danger, because he wasn't doing anything against TOS, and he wasn't doing anything illegal. So I don't know, he was just a dick about it, but he admits to being a dick about a lot of things. So yeah, I don't know, I felt that what she did was a major overreaction, and there was a different way to handle that that didn't involve that kind of bullshit. So yeah, so now that we've got the Shiloh stuff established, basically, after that stuff, about a week or two later, maybe two, yeah, probably 2 weeks, I had defended Edwin against an asshole, and this person was trying really badly to hold Edwin accountable for the Chroma Bridged shit, which I will go into in a second. So yeah, trying to use stuff that Edwin himself had linked in the description, I believe, of the video, specifically on Evan Ettinger. This person, I do believe, was more so going for cancel culture as opposed to actually just trying to hold Edwin accountable for what he did. So yeah. So anyways, I knew nothing about the Chroma Bridge stuff at the time. I knew nothing in regards to that. So, what happened is I ended up, trying to think. I ended up just defending Edwin kind of blindly on that situation. Um, and I regret doing that because looking into the Chroma Bridge situation, what Edwin did was fucked. Okay. So just looking at it from a an outsider's perspective into that situation, which is the perspective I have with a bunch of the stuff that I don't know everything about. Um, Basically, the Chroma Bridge situation is so fucked. So back in 2014, he was outed for sexting 14-year-old girls, and in one case, a 15-year-old girl at least. I don't know necessarily if there were more. There might have been, but yeah. Basically, Chroma Bridge is a British YouTuber, who at the time I'm pretty sure was trying to use his power and influence over people. Basically, how I describe Chroma is basically British Austin Jones to an extent, because that's kind of what he was trying to do. He's trying to do similar shit. So, yeah, basically in several DMs, he asked several girls that were 14 at the time, gotta remember that, and he was 20, for nudes. Why? I don't know. I personally don't know, you know? And then there was one chick who he DM'd because apparently I think it's because she asked when he was offering to pay people compliments or some shit that I can't remember exactly, but basically he DM'd her that her boobs were 20 out of 10, as I'm quoting from the DMs. And yeah, on top of that, he also, from what I know, apparently didn't treat many of his female friends that well. So you have a dude who's not only a pedophile and a predator, but also someone who treats women like shit. Lovely guy, this Karim. And yeah, it caused a bit of a stir in part of the community back in 2014. A bunch of people started doing like tags for like stuff on I think Predators or something. But yeah, Edwin in 2018, like mid to late 2018, I think is when he recorded it. But yeah, in 2018, released an interview with Karim where they went over a video or allegations or whatever that Dodie Clark had made at the time, and where she made a video at the time that was with that tag that I just mentioned, where she said at the beginning, trigger warning, rape and whatever, for all that to warn people against what was being talked about in the video in case if that was a trigger for them in regards to trauma and whatever. So yeah, Edwin's main thing with the interview was to apparently confirm or whatever that Karim wasn't a predator, or not a predator. He wasn't a rapist, I think, or whatever. Which I don't really understand. I don't really understand like why you'd go to bat for a guy who has basically been proven with screenshots of text messages and stuff that he is a certain way, you know? But yeah, it's somewhat similar to the Zaptai situation in my mind. And here's also the thing on Zaptai that I'm just going to say right here in case the people are going to be like in the comments or on Twitter or whatever. Like, what do you mean it's like the Zaptai situation? The Zaptai situation is somewhat similar. The thing about Zaptai is he was sexting a chick that he thought was 16, and he was going to travel across state lines to go hook up with her. The only thing that stopped him was that she told him that she was like 13 or 14 instead. And then he didn't go through with it. Now, here's the thing. Taking as many, like, what is it? Taking as many, like, age of consent laws as you want, that's still fucking creepy. That's still fucking predatory behavior. Okay? Whether or not he was intending on, like, preying on her or whatever the fuck. It just, I don't know. And apparently he did receive, like, lewd material from this chick. So if he has underage lewds or nudes of this chick, no matter how old she is, under the age of 18, he was technically in possession of child porn and could have been fucking arrested for it. And he's lucky that he wasn't. But anyways, yes, this chick did, what is the word? This chick did, catfish him. But it's still not that good. She was still under 18. And on top of that, federal law takes place when you cross state lines. Okay, and I think you don't live in the state that you're going to. You cross state lines in the United States, you invoke federal law. Federal law has the age of consent as 18. I think I've got all my bases covered right there because, like, yeah. I'm not going to say that Zaptai is by nature a bad person. What I'm going to say, though, is he did predatory behavior and creepy shit, and no one should be surprised that, like, he got the reception, I guess, that he did when that shit was outed. I'm just going to say that. And if he doesn't do that shit anymore, whatever. But then we also have Karim, who's in a similar situation. The only thing is he knew that that the girls were underage at the time. He did check with several of them, at the very least, what their ages were before he, like, said anything to them. And, yeah. This dude's a fucking pedo. Or I guess an ephebophile, but that's barely any different. But, yeah. And he's a predator, so... yeah. So, Edwin went to bat for this guy... and I feel like he was trying to do... I don't remember if Nick put out his video on the Zaptai situation before or after Edwin did the Karim stuff, but it was a similar kind of thing where Edwin was trying to do that. Karim basically, in that shit, tried to pass everything off on Evan Edinger, and he tried to accuse Evan of doing similar stuff that Evan and Dodie... I believe tried to, or said that he was trying to do to Dodie, because what happened was in 2014 they were on a trip to Amsterdam, all three of them, probably with some friends. They, I think, missed the last train back to England from Amsterdam, so they quickly got a hotel room for the night and tried to sleep. There was only one bed, and they had to share the bed, I guess, because I guess there was nothing else to sleep on but the floor. And Karim was trying to creep on Dodie, and yeah, it was Dodie, Evan, and then Karim, I believe. Karim was trying to, I think, change places with Evan so he could just try and creep on Dodie. From what I remember was said about that situation from, I think, Dodie and Evan. So, yeah, and both Dodie and Evan very much deny that Evan was trying to do anything to Karim. And Karim's been pretty consistent, I think, with blaming everything on Evan, or trying to shift blame on Evan. And yeah, I know that there's a term for what he was trying to do, but that's basically what he was trying to do. I don't believe Evan would have tried to do anything at the time. And I know this kind of goes against what the ultimate message of his video is, but judging by Evan's videos and the fact that he doesn't have anybody around him or has been around him but Karim saying he would do any shit like Karim has tried to put on him. Um, you know, I personally, unless if I can see proof of it, I don't think Evan is the type of person to do that. Show me any evidence if you have it, but I don't personally think that Evan would do these kind of things for multiple reasons. But yeah, for one, he just doesn't come off like that in his videos, and then two, at the time he said this himself. He identified as asexual. I think back in 2014. But later on, he reevaluated it, and he's actually demisexual, but he's also straight. And I originally thought that Evan was like drunk or whatever at the time. I don't necessarily remember if that's the case. But even as a joke, as like a drunken joke, I don't think Evan would have done that shit. I'm just saying. But yeah, so anyways, just saying that right there, and I think it was awful of Edwin to just let Karim say that shit without questioning it. But yeah, that's like the biggest thing I remember, or one of the biggest things I remember from that. But yeah, so that interview came out, and Edwin got backlash for it because of the fact that it didn't seem like he was listening to anybody who was warning him about stuff. And people were warning him about it since I think he announced it, like I think a month beforehand. People were telling him shit on Twitter, and you can still find remnants of the tweets from the time. And yeah, so Edwin then went to release a second video where he got into contact with the girl who Karim told she sent Edwin screenshots of DMs that she had with Karim at the time. It's the 20 out of 10 boobs girl. And he had a conversation with this girl and got her to admit that she didn't have any psychological damage, I believe, and that she, I think, didn't believe Karim was that bad of a guy. Or something like that. And Edwin used that in the video. And something funny in regards to that. So I have a thread going on my Twitter about stupid shit, and in some cases awful shit that Edwin has done over the last several years. And I quote tweeted the chick who posted the screenshots of Karim DMing her that shit. Basically, she responded to that because she obviously got the notification about that. And she said, yeah, not gonna lie, the whole interaction with Edwin made me feel like they were blaming me, and I regret ever being involved in this. Shrug emoji. And, yep, that basically just confirms to me that, Edwin, in regards to how he did shit, it was not like he thought it was going to be. And this chick regrets being a part of anything. And she felt that Edwin and Karim were like victim blaming her. Classy guy, this Edwin and this Karim, huh? Or guys. But yeah, classy guys, I'm just gonna say. Yeah, this shit will be linked in the description, by the way, hopefully, if I remember. So, otherwise, you can just go on my Twitter and find it. But anyways, to go on from here, Edwin put out the second video doing that, and then also trying to say that Karim wasn't that bad of a guy, and then also admitted that he cut out a section of the interview that talked about the pedo shit, specifically to, or specifically because he wanted to focus on the Dodie Clark allegations. And yeah, so he cut out that part of the interview where they were talking about the pedo shit. I personally can't help but feel now, and I have for the last several years since I rewatched these videos, and in some cases watched for the first time these videos because I didn't see the first one, that Edwin was purposefully trying to deceive his audience to get them to like Karim with the first video, and didn't try to cover the pedo shit because, it would make Karim look bad, obviously. And rather than being truthful to his audience and include every bit of footage and audio and whatever possible for that shit, Edwin decided to cut it out and just not use it, and skip over it. But instead of just saying, yeah, we didn't cover it, I was an idiot, I'm sorry, I'll take down the interview and put up a retraction or whatever, Edwin decided to double down, and what he decided to do was include the fucking part about the pedo shit in the second video, where he tried to, what is the word? He tried to justify it. He really tried to justify it, He tried to justify a 20-year-old man at the time creeping on some 14-year-olds. Yay, this Edwin character. He definitely seems like the kind of guy you'd back. It's stupid. Like, in the fucking comments, I guess, of the video, or on a live stream somewhere that you can't watch because it's not available, or maybe in a tweet or some shit, I've seen people before try to say, oh, Edwin has, like, what is the word? He's can't think of the word, but basically he said he doesn't stand by Karim doing that shit, when, wouldn't you believe, in my old Twitter DMs with Edwin, he specifically said that Karim isn't a pedo, and he's not a predator. This was back in 2020, by the way. A good little over a year after he put out that interview, and when I think he would have supposedly said that shit. And he has since said that he doesn't, stand by Karim doing that bullshit. But the thing about it is, he still has the videos of the interview up, and he either tried to justify that shit or make it seem like it wasn't that bad in the second video. Yeah, if you're actually thinking that Edwin genuinely cares that Karim was a pedo and a predator, you've got another thing coming. Publicly, he'll say one thing, and in private, he will say another. Okay? So, yeah, so then he went on to do another video responding to Evan Edinger, calling him Keemstar Light, and responding and reacting as he did to the fact that he platformed Karim. And he took advantage of Evan basically being a bit hyperbolic and maybe overreactionary to everything to try and cancel Evan. And he also for some reason tried to repurpose some of the footage, like a few seconds of the footage that Dodie had sent him for her segment in the previous video, to make Evan seem like a bad guy. But it's just like, if you actually binge these videos, as is for a lot of his videos, if you try to binge these, you would know going into that he was taking her out of context to make Evan look bad. If you're actually paying attention and you binge these videos, you'll see that. So, yeah. So he was doing that, and he was basically trying to justify, I believe, having interviewed Karim and all that. And then he also, I think a week later, or however long later, tried to, I think, cancel or whatever the fuck. It seemed like he was trying to cancel Evan too, but to a lesser extent. But he got mad in that video, by the way, as well, on Evan. Then he did a video on Emma Blackery. I'm pretty sure he tried to do basically the same thing. Trying to use, I believe, her mental health against her, because I believe she has BPD, but I could be wrong. She has something, from what I've heard. And the way that she reacted to the Karim stuff wasn't as good as she could have made it, and she had stuff going on in her life at the time. She has a whole video on it. And she did a post on her subreddit about it as well, just to clarify things and clear things up and whatever. So, yeah. But at the time in 2020, when I watched only 2 of these videos, I didn't really analyze this shit because, for one, I knew nothing of the Kuruma Bridge stuff, and 2, I gave Edwin too much of the benefit of the doubt. This is why I can understand his stans and supporters. I wasn't a stan, but I did support his content. Um, like, in order to be a stan, you have to be this, like, in my mind, to be a stan, you have to be this crazy, this awful amount of crazy in your brain to mindlessly stand by someone that you're a fan of, to the point where it's really destructive to any conversations or discourse around something, and you just act like a fucking idiot. Um, I personally am not like that when it comes to basically anything, but especially towards Edwin. Some people label me as like an ex-fan or some shit. I'm not really. I just supported his content. Whether or not that makes me a fan or not, I don't know, but I definitely wasn't a stan. Like, that's just fucking stupid. But anyways, I was gonna say that right there. But anyways, didn't know anything about this, and in regards to the Karim stuff, and Edwin took advantage of my ignorance of the situation, and sent me a link to the second video that he put out on it. That and the Evan one were the only ones that I watched at the time, and again, did not have critical thinking, my critical thinking hat on, and didn't really analyze this for what it was, and yeah, I just gave him too much of the benefit of the doubt. That's why I can understand why a lot of his stands like support him and whatever else. I don't think a lot of his stands really go back and actually check out a lot of his older content that's like older than maybe a year, maybe, depending on what they're recommended in YouTube's algorithm and whatever. And when they do, or if they do, I don't think that they really apply a lot of critical thinking to Edwin's videos. And it's just like, I really don't know how you can support Edwin when he does shit like that, okay? And on top of that, like, people say now that Edwin can't take criticism. He couldn't take criticism back then. Like, for a long ass time, he has been unable to take criticism, and he flips it on the people criticizing him. That's what he does all the time. He's done this for years. You know, it's only now that people are starting to notice more or have dug up some evidence to say that he's always been like this. Dude's a fucking narcissist, so I'm not surprised, you know? But we will get into that as we go. So, yeah, so he and I had a conversation that lasted days in DMs for some reason. So yeah, he entered DMs with me after I defended him, and he wanted to thank me. Then we started a conversation about that shit. And then after that, for some reason, he sent me drafts of tweets. Some he published, some he didn't. One tweet draft in particular, he changed it a bit in between messages, and the way that he changed it definitely makes it come off like he was victimizing himself a bit more than I think he needed to. Basically, he was putting out tweets on, or in response to shit Shiloh was doing at the time, kind of to stir shit and whatever. But yeah, I'll throw up examples on the or for visuals at this point when I listen back to this in editing. But yeah, it just, I don't know. I don't know why he sent me tweet drafts, whether or not he actually published them or not. I don't know why he sent me them. I would think that he would send them to someone else who he trusted more. But for me at the time, a complete stranger who the only thing I did was defend him against an asshole. And the person was an asshole, by the way. The way they were going about things was not good. The way that they saw the world was not good. And the way that they interacted with me was not good. I'm not gonna be so receptive to anything that you say if you treat me like something I'm not, especially if you don't know me. Okay? But anyways, so yeah, so that carried on for several days, and then he released his 2 Shiloh videos. The first one recapping shit that happened uh on Twitter with her and everything. To which I don't recommend watching his video. Watch like Toad McKinley's video or something on the situation, because he actually got more screenshots and shit, and I think that he's a he's a bit biased, but at the same time, like, I think he's a more trustworthy source than um than Edwin. But yeah. So then yeah, he put out the 2 videos. The second one was on his DM convos with Shiloh, and this video is really, really fucking stupid in hindsight. And at this point, I can now just tell that he was victimizing himself and everything. Because what had actually happened, if you actually read the screenshots that even he put out, without any bias or anything, he fucking victimized himself over it when that happened. So he tried to contact her. She didn't want to talk, obviously. He poked the bear too hard, and she responded in anger, which is something that she also said in some of her tweets. So basically, yeah, that happened, and I think she blocked him after that. But yeah, and yeah, it's just, yeah, like, just, he poked the bear too hard when it came to a mentally ill woman who, like, who already didn't like him from shit that Sarah had told her, apparently. And yeah, but granted, I had DMs with Shiloh as well at a point, because she DM'd me when I was having an argument with one of her, like, supporters at the time. And she I don't know, the way that she said stuff to me that was like stuff about Sarah and whatever, and the way that things came off is like, some things I think she said were true, others I question a bit. Like, she told me that Sarah was having, like, doubts about Edwin, but I don't really know to what extent, because I've never talked to Sarah about it, nor do I want to pry. And I don't know. I don't necessarily know if she was speaking for Sarah or if something else was going on or whatever. I do know at the time, though, I didn't really believe her in regards to shit that she was saying. But I'll say that in regards to that, I had assumed way too fucking much when it came to Shiloh and Sarah's relationship in regards to their friendship and how much they had said to one another. And considering I know now, and I heard this from an ex-mod, Edwin would apparently shit talk Sarah when he was after he tried to like, get information from her about Onision. I can definitely imagine that she would be having doubts, as Shiloh said in our DMs, about Edwin. And I don't necessarily. The thing is, like, I know when this comes out, like, people are gonna, like, shit on me for saying those things, or for being the way that I was. Thing was, like, I was going off of, like, very little information, actual information, that no one really had. And I was also stupid and thought I knew better. Yeah, this is also why I think, or why I can get how a lot of Edwin stans are, because, like, I exhibited similar behaviors at the time. And that's why, like, after this Edwin shit's over, I'm not getting personally involved in any fucking, like, drama again, and I don't want to, I don't want to join any fucking drama tuber discords like I did at the time. Yeah, I'm just gonna observe shit from the sidelines and stay on the sidelines. Maybe offer an opinion, but here and there. But I'm not gonna fucking be like I was back in 2020. But anyways, so yeah, um, so after the conversation with Edwin got over with, I was on. He offered me. Well, I sent him the DMs that I had with Shiloh, and he downloaded the video that I had sent him of them, um, like before asking me, which is just I don't know why. Seems kind of random and stupid, or not, maybe not random, but just dumb. But yeah, and I do apologize to Shiloh for that if she is listening. But you know, yeah, I just didn't believe her at the time. The way that she was going about things didn't really help. And on top of that, in the DMs themselves, if I were to reveal them, Shiloh pretty much it seemed was a bit emotionally manipulative at points, and then like at one point, I brought up something in regards to I think Onision. Then she said something, and then I brought up I think what was her name? One of the Onision victims saying something different. I think that one supporting Edwin, and she said that she didn't really, I think, know or talk to that one. But right before, she was acting like she was speaking for basically every one of them. So I have to wonder how truthful she was at the time, and like how much everybody knew each other in regards to that. But yeah, because it definitely came off like I don't know, just inconsistent, and that's why I'm sort of still mixed on the Shiloh stuff. Is like she even to me was a bit emotionally manipulative and like inconsistent on some things and kind of dumb. But yeah, um, but yeah, so yeah, so Edwin had a live stream about the Shiloh stuff. After that, and he invited me on after I sent him a video, and he downloaded it and got a screenshot of some of my DMs with Shiloh where she shit talked Edwin, and he put that up on the screen behind or on the screen next to him. And that's basically what happened there. I very much regret a lot of what I said in those DMs, and if I release them, you guys, or release them in full, you guys will definitely see why. It's just, if I could club my past self in the head with a fucking mallet, I would. But yeah. So now we're into March of 2020, and uh, going into when I was a part of Edwin's Discord server. So going into Edwin's Discord server, um, it's just not great. I don't really have a lot of pleasant memories of his Discord server, and I remember hearing in the broadcast, I believe as it's called, like broad as in like woman, with Xylee, Edwin's former mod Eva, some other chick, and Matt Pitt. Matt Pitt, I remember in that specific podcast said that he heard stuff about how, like, I think in 2020, there was like constant drama going on in Edwin's server. That I can personally attest to. Almost every day there was some kind of stupid bullshit going on. And Edwin and some mods at the time will not take personal accountability for any of it. Because they're at least partially responsible for it going on and continuing. Whereas a server owner and mods are supposed to keep the peace. But they did not. They did nothing. So anyways, Yeah, so basically, during Edwin's stream, a dude named Extreme Dad came on. If you don't know who that guy is, basically he's a right wing idiot who goes around trying to make people who do live streams and shit look like uh, I think idiots or hypocrites or whatever. I've seen VODs from Xander Hall and uh, Vosh of him talking to them, and he makes it pretty evident that that's what his goal is from some of them, and even I think directly stating that shit. Um, and yeah, his goal is not to actually have a conversation with these people. It's to get them to look dumb and look like hypocrites and whatever. So he basically did the same thing to Edwin when he went into his Discord server, and then Edwin had him on after I was on. Like I said, I was invited onto his live stream, and I did go on for I think 10 minutes or so. To which I just need to say, in regards to how Edwin ended that, was kind of rude. He basically ended the conversation after things were talked about and established and whatever else. If you can get a hold of this VOD though, when I'm on it, you can see him look extremely bored. By the way, when I'm talking, he has. I didn't catch this until I rewatched a copy of the VOD I got, where he what he did was when I was talking, he looked off to the side. He just looked like he was fucking zoning out and bored, like he was half listening, and not really paying much attention. And I didn't notice this at the time because when I was on Edwin's stream, I was basically pet sitting my brother's dog. When he and his now wife were out, I think somewhere. I can't remember where, but somewhere. And I was talking to Edwin through my phone, and I didn't have the stream playing through my my laptop at the time because I had it with me. I had been watching the stream up until that point. I watched a bit after that, and yeah, so I talked to Edwin through Discord on my phone just so I could move around and shit, or just not have to carry my laptop around. And yeah, so I wasn't paying attention to the stream at the time, and yeah, he just looks fucking bored. I'm just you're really not gonna listen to a person you're talking to on your stream about something important in regards to the Shiloh stuff. Really, you're not. That's just rude. But then he also and you can catch him in some of his live streams, by the way, if you rewatch them, where he does that as well to other people. I've seen him do it to other people as well in some clips of some of his live streams. Is this really odd look he has on his face when you can tell he's not really listening to who he's talking to. It's really fucking dumb. But yeah, so then after that, he had Extreme Dad on. Extreme Dad basically derailed the stream for a bit. Then he let Extreme Dad stay in his Discord server because Extreme Dad gave him about $40 worth of super chats. He also let Extreme Dad have access to a copy of the stream because he paid him $40 in super chats. Yeah. I tried asking if I could have a copy of the stream too. I asked twice in Edwin's Discord at a couple different points, and Edwin just completely ignored me. I'm pretty sure he would have seen it as well, because here's the thing about Edwin's Discord that you guys need to know going into shit I'm about to talk about. Edwin does pay attention to his Discord. He pretty much always has. He checks in several times a day. He reads through the chats. He knows what the fuck goes on in his Discord. On top of that, he's told shit by his mods. So, yeah, to say that Edwin doesn't check in with his Discord server is extremely fucking stupid. And I think it only comes from people who either want to give Edwin a good faith sort of thing without actually thinking about it that may be in his Discord server, or it's people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, like I Bully Bullies, for example. Didn't know what the fuck he was talking about when I told him that shit on Reddit. And he literally tried to argue that it was like the Eugenia Cooney situation, but it's just like, no. No. Eugenia Cooney legitimately, from what I know, did not pay attention to her Discord server because she was off doing other things. And she had mods in place, and they took immediate action when they caught a predator trying to creep on, I think, girls in, like, underage girls in her server. But even that couldn't save her from, like, backlash that she got. So, yeah, Eugenia Cooney, it's, from what I can tell, was a legitimate victim of people blaming her for shit that she ought not be blamed for just because she owned the server. Whereas Edwin does pay attention to his Discord server. He talks with people in his Discord server pretty much every day. And if you're trying to give him like a good faith defense like that, you need to rethink that defense because it doesn't add up with reality. And I'm a person that was in his Discord server for 4 months back then. Like, he constantly paid attention to shit. So I really don't know, like, how people can just be that dumb. Like, if you don't know anything about his Discord, why the fuck would you defend him? Just saying. But anyways, yeah, so knowing that, let's go through this. So for the first 2 weeks, I was in there. First of all, I had talked to some people about the Shiloh stuff and whatever. And some interesting conversations from what I remember in terms of the bits of them I do remember. Extreme Dad started challenging people to debates in the VCs of Edwin's Discord. So if that was for 2 weeks, this had people grow a very big resentment to him. And yeah, and some of the mods will, I know, say, oh, we were in those VCs most of the time, and people accepted they accepted the debates and whatever else, or they took part in them, and it's just like, you realize that people can change their minds on how or on doing something or how something was either as it happens or after it happens, right? Like, and on top of that, if you don't actually talk to people, you don't really know what's going on in their minds. So, I don't really know. But over those 2 weeks, this would keep going on most of the time, and people started to hate Extreme Dad and want him out of the server. Edwin and his mods didn't do shit. From what I can tell, they didn't do anything. I saw nothing in the fucking server. No one said anything in regards to anything actually happening. And yeah, a lot of people, from what I can tell, did leave Edwin's Discord server over that shit, and partly because of his mods while I was in there. And yeah. So Extreme Dad, like I said, was in there for 2 weeks. He left. I was initially told by someone that I knew at the time that, I can't remember exactly who, but one of a few people that I knew at the time, that he was asked to leave by either Edwin or his mods. I have no proof of that, so I'm just gonna say it's hearsay. But I'm just also letting you guys into that, or I'm giving you guys a peek behind the curtain in regards to that, because I have made the statement that, like, full chest, I believed that he was asked to leave, because it sort of went with how the mods and Edwin seem to treat the server and the people in it. But anyways, yeah, so yeah, but he seemed to, I guess he just left on his own, and yeah, he stayed out of the server again for 2 weeks. Edwin had established some rules. About half of them, or almost half of them, were about, like, giving his mods way too much power, in my opinion, and protecting his mods and everything. And on top of that, the rules that he did install, because he had no rules in the first place, I need to mention this as well. He had no rules. and I have no fucking clue as to why. His server, from what I can tell, was initially just for patrons, um, and other people that he invited to it, but it wasn't for the public. But sometime in 2019, he made it for the public. Um, so yeah. So then after that, um, uh, for that 2 weeks, yeah, after he installed some rules, the rules were very inconsistently enforced and ultimately didn't matter. They were pretty much just there, I think, to like save face and whatever the fuck else. So yeah, so after that, so for the next 2 weeks, the server kind of started to go off the rails. It was a bit better, but it started to go off the rails even so. Um, and this is from like mid March into April. Um, and yeah, it was whatever. But there was always some stupid shit going on. Like either Edwin or his mods did something that I personally or other people did not like them doing, um, or didn't agree with, or just thought was stupid. Um, and sometimes they would find out about that shit if you vented about it elsewhere and would get mad at you for having problems with them. And yeah, and yeah, I'll talk about more of that in a bit. So after that 2 weeks, Extreme Dad came back into the server. No idea as to why, but he stayed quiet for another 2 weeks. This is in April, and he didn't do anything. He just stayed quiet, just creeping in the background. And after that 2 weeks, when people knew that Extreme Dad was in there, um, and I told one of the mods, but apparently they already knew. I had told one of the mods, and she had said, "Man," and I guess like either they had already known or something. I don't really know. That response came off to me like she was like exasperated that she had to fucking she had to like deal with this shit again or had to do something or whatever. I don't really know why she said just she went like man to me. It was really fucking dumb. So yeah, so then after another 2 weeks of that, a lot of people just didn't want him in there because of the shit that he had done or caused or whatever. Um, and so after 2 more weeks, Edwin banned him, and I don't know why Edwin at the time, at the very least, I don't know about now, but at the time was like so against like directly banning people. My assumption though is Edwin, we all know him, right, as the shit stirrer, as the person who likes to watch chaos unfold in front of him, which by the way, if you go back to VODs from like years ago, he was like that then. Um where he just liked to watch chaos unfold in front of him. Which good maintaining that you're not a Keemstar light, Edwin. Nice. Only more sociopathic. I've seen Keemstar have more fucking sympathy and empathy for other people than Edwin has exhibited. As well as just Keemstar just seems smarter than Edwin, but yeah, take that as you will. But anyways, yeah, he was just so against banning people, and I don't really know why. But my assumption is that Edwin doesn't like to straight up ban people because he doesn't want any like, or he didn't at the time want any drama to come from his Discord server, and basically, if basically he would just let people get so worked up and frustrated and whatever with his server that they would leave on their own. And basically the reason for this, as far as I can tell, is if they leave on their own, Edwin can easily say, well, they left on their own, so so they chose to do that or whatever, and basically put the blame back on other people and whatever the fuck else. Rather than if Edwin were to ban people, then they could say, I was banned from Edwin's Discord server over this. I can personally attest to the fact that I mainly accidentally did break a few of the rules that Edwin put in, but I was never banned or punished in any way. And I really don't know why. But yeah. So yeah, but that's basically why I think that happened, or why certain shits didn't happen like it should have. But yeah. So then, that was just basically that on the Extreme Dad stuff. Do not have Extreme Dad in your server. He is cancer, is the point there. But also, or is one of the points there. But, also just like Edwin's a fucking pussy and he won't actually do stuff to maintain a healthy Discord server. What he wants is fucking blood sports, the Discord server, and from what I can tell, from the last few years, he's kind of gotten that. And on top of that, he wants a fucking echo chamber that, with just the yes men in his fucking audience. But yeah. And I will just basically attest to that, and I think a lot of other people can as well. So yeah. So on to other stuff that happened. So I was in, I think this was before the Extreme, right before the Extreme Dad stuff got so out of hand. I was in a VC just with Edwin, and he had asked me what my name was, what my real name was, rather than my username. I wouldn't tell him. He asked again, and I also said I wouldn't tell him because I don't know about you guys, but I don't go by my real name online. I go by my username. And outside of like personal accounts that are for like interacting with people I know in real life, I don't let a lot of people know my shit. It's my private information. I want to keep it private, and like I have a right to, and people can just fuck off if they want to know anything and I don't want to tell them and they get pissy about it. And I know everyone got pissy about this because a person who's a secret mod, or who was a secret mod, basically she wasn't an official mod, although I believe she later became a stream mod for him. Basically, she wasn't a mod, but she had access to the mod chat of his Discord server because he was friends with several of the mods that Edwin had. And she had later asked me for my name, which I found was weird at the time. When I found out from an ex-mod, and I also have another person who was friends with this person, who was friends with this chick, who also confirmed it when I mentioned to them that this person had access to the mod chats. That let's see, what was it? That she had access to the mod chat. When I found that out, I'm just like, Edwin really must have bitched about me not telling him my name. He genuinely got upset by that, to the point where he bitched about it to his mods. I'm just like, you don't need to know my fucking personal information, you fuck. You know what I want you to know and what I let you know. Okay? So shut the fuck up, accept your fucking place, and get off my fucking back. And don't bitch about that kind of fucking shit. Edwin, you don't go by your real last name online. You are a fucking hypocrite when it comes to not only that shit, but a bunch of other shit in general. But that shit right there, you are a fucking hypocrite. If you genuinely fucking like get upset at people, at other people not wanting you to know their personal information when you don't share half of your fucking name, when it mainly comes to their name, okay? And I know he didn't ask me like where I lived, my address, my phone number, personal Facebook, whatever. I know he didn't ask for that shit, but at the same time, it's just like, it's the principle mainly of the thing. It's just like, if you don't share half of your real information, like, keep that same energy and just accept that other people don't want you to know anything. Okay? You are not entitled to know other people's information, like their personal information. You were not entitled to know that, okay? But granted, Edwin's the kind of person who will dox people if he knows their fucking information. He did that to Sear, where he doxed Sear's real first name in a video. He has since taken down that video, probably not for the reasons that you'd actually want to believe he did. But there are some clips here and there. In fact, some clips are in Beanspill's video on the Sear and Dasha drama. But yeah. Edwin's a hypocrite on a lot of things, believe me. But yeah. So then, I just wanted to say that because, this is personal venting time, and it's good to do that. Keep that in mind. So then, we're into April of 2020, and post-Extreme Dad. The thing is, I can't remember a lot of the smaller things that happened at the time. I do remember, however, in a VC, once Black Wolf Company released their video on the Shiloh situation, which they have since taken down for reasons I don't know. It was in a VC. I was there, Edwin was there, a couple of his mods were there, a bunch of other people were there. And at one point, I had made a joke about something that one of the mods had said. And Edwin was just like, "Oh, what's happening here? Are we gonna and couldn't think of a fucking phrase or word to use, so I was just like, "Oh, what do you throw hands?" And he was just like, "Yeah, are we gonna throw hands here?" And it was awkward. Then I realized what had just happened, that he was responding to something or reacting to something that I had said, and then I apologized for the joke if it was causing anything, because I didn't want drama. The mod didn't want drama, as far as I could tell. And Edwin was just being a piece of shit. He was trying to start shit, which I've known he does that for at least 3 years now, or almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in April. So the people that over the last year or two have been seeing Edwin start shit in his live streams, as he's live streamed more and stuff, and people have been paying more attention to him because there's more eyes on him. Edwin's been doing that for a very long time. And you can literally see this if you go back to older live streams of his. Not every live stream probably, but some. Or a good amount of them. But yeah, he did that in his Discord server in the fucking voice chat. But yeah. Then directly after that, when he was ending things, I brought up how at the behest of the same chick who asked me for my name, who was the fucking secret mod, I had brought up to Edwin that I didn't think that his mods were running his Discord server the way that he wanted them to. Which was true. At the time, I thought that. Of course, I know that it's just not true. The mods, I don't believe, were given any consistent, rules or whatever the right term is, to guidelines, I think, or policies to abide by when it came to running Edwin's server. And so I don't blame them 100% for running Edwin's Discord server poorly if they didn't know exactly what to do or how to do things. If Edwin was just no, don't do this, or yes, do that, or whatever, and wasn't consistent about things. And on top of that, if he was the only one who had banning powers or kicking powers or whatever for the server. But yeah. And so that mod was just in disbelief at what I had said, and Edwin just completely blew me off. I wouldn't say ignored me, but he blew me off and ended the VC. Everyone just got out of there. As far as I can tell, they probably had a conversation in the mod chat about what I had said. I wouldn't know what was said if so. But yeah, that was just genuinely fucking stupid. That was strike one in regards to me trying to communicate with Edwin problems that I had with him and his server and how shit was going. And he just completely ignored everything that I had said and didn't care. If, as I said in the Dasha interview, if he had messaged me after that and tried to talk about things in DMs on Discord or whatever, that would be one thing. I could understand then why he would end the VC after I had said that. But yeah, no. Yeah. So then, at some point after that, when I made another joke about what the same mod had said in a text chat, she had tried to challenge me to a fight right there in Edwin's Discord server. This was not cool. This was not the move. This was not good. Like, the mod had already hated me for reasons I'll state in a second. The mod had already hated me, so I think I accidentally poked the bear a little bit too much. She just freaked the fuck out on me. Then I just apologized and was just like, hey, I didn't mean to start drama. I don't want to fight. And then she was just like, oh no, let's start a fight. Let's have a fight right here. Paraphrasing, but that's basically what she said. And I wish I got screenshots of this. So I could just show you guys as I'm talking about this shit. But, I was just like, what the fuck? Basically. It was a fucking joke. And I'm just gonna be saying this. At a point, like, someone had said, one of the mods had said to me, can't you take jokes, or do you not know what jokes are, or whatever the fuck. It's just like, I can't... First of all, I'm a victim of, like, most of the time, like, not understanding that people are making jokes, because in text form, especially if you don't know someone and their sense of humor, it can be hard to tell if someone is joking, okay? When it's in text form, you can take things in a different way than they were intended, because you can't hear a person's voice, and especially if you don't know the person, you don't know their intentions with what they're saying. Okay? What was the point of what I was saying? Oh yeah, I'm a victim of that at times on, like, Twitter, YouTube, sometimes Discord or whatever. But this person, I'm very certain, just got fed up with what they perceived to be my bullshit at the time. Some of which I can understand, some of which I really can't. But yeah. And I'm just going to say this in regards to this mod. I do have a standing agreement to not talk about this mod on, like, Twitter in regards to shit that happened. And for one, this isn't Twitter. 2, I'm not going to mention this mod's name. 3, I'm not going to mention why I believe this mod what exactly I know about this mod as to explain her behavior, because she doesn't want me to talk about it, even though from what I can tell on her Twitter and other places, sometimes at the very least she's somewhat open about it. So I'm pretty sure she just doesn't like me, and she doesn't want me to know this information, even if she's open about it. And on top of that, she has openly said in those DMs that in our recent Twitter DMs, I don't owe her shit. Yet she still doesn't want me to talk about her bullshit. Okay. You go on being a hypocrite. I'll just talk about you in a general sense. So anyways, yeah, she'll probably think that this is breaking the treaty. Reread the fucking DMs, bitch. It's just on Twitter, and I won't say your name, and I won't talk about your bullshit in regards to your mental shit. Okay? Get fucking help. Get off of the internet, and just stop worrying about everything. Okay? Like, I hate these people. They're fucking so stupid, and I hate them. Like, I hate a lot of what they're about, and I hate how they, like, treat other people. Because there's these mentally ill motherfuckers that don't see the world for what it is. You know? But anyways, so this chick is mentally ill. She has anger issues. She can't take any fucking criticism. She's narcissistic as fuck. And she's just fucking stupid. I'm just gonna say that right there. Um, and I understand that at points in Edwin's Discord I was annoying, but why in the fuck would you think that it was cool to challenge me to a fucking fight in the text chat of Edwin's server? It was, as a mod at the very least. If you were a regular person, it wouldn't be nearly as bad, but you were a mod of Edwin's server. You represent Edwin. He chose you to fucking be a mod. And, like, you reacted in anger and violence to a lot of things. Get fucking help for your mental bullshit. You know I know what you have. Get fucking help for it if you don't already, and get on some kind of fucking medication. You're barely any better than fucking Maya, Repsion's ex-girlfriend. The only thing is you're not actively trying to destroy your ex-boyfriend's life on fucking Twitter and YouTube and wherever. Okay? You're not that psychotic. I'll give you that. But you still need a lot of mental help. But anyways, so yeah, but another thing that had happened is that with the friends that I had made from Edwin's Discord, there was a splinter server that went off of Edwin's. This was a gaming server run by someone who, during the Extreme Dad stuff, he started this server. It was mainly meant for a gaming server. He mainly hosted Jackbox games, and he also hosted other games sometimes as well that he played with other people, but it was mainly Jackbox, which at the time were fun, I will admit. But yeah, and after that, with another friend I had made, she started a server, or maybe it was someone else. No, someone else owned the server, but she was one of the people that helped, like, put it together and everything. Yeah, so there was 2 servers at the time. And at the time, things were open for venting. There were venting channels, or people didn't care. Okay? One of the mods that knew about this shit will say that, and Edwin, that is just like, oh, they were hate chats, or they were hate servers, or whatever the fuck. No. It was just stupid bullshit was going on all the time, almost every fucking day at some point or another. And I knew that it was a fucking fool's errand to try and talk to you people about shit that was going on. So the thought process was I needed a place to vent. And with the friends that I had at the time, they were open to that. They were okay with that. You know? It's like people only want to say it's a hate chat because it's them or it's about them. And a lot of the venting was about frustrations and at some points just straight up just hatreds of a lot of the shit that was going on in Edwin's server, as well as just towards the certain people in general, just talking about shit that was happening and then like saying, oh, this person, what the fuck were they doing? Or this shit was crazy or whatever the fuck else. Meanwhile, they're also fucking guilty of venting about people that they find frustrating or things that they find frustrating elsewhere. You want to tell me how your fucking private server wasn't also for stuff like that at times? But yeah, if you're gonna call me fucking like, if you're gonna say I had a hate chant or a hate server, fucking keep that same energy for yourself, like, and actually see things for how they are. But anyways, so yeah, and then it's just like I don't know. Like yeah, so I get like I don't know. The the point is weren't hate servers, they weren't hate chats. It was venting, and there was always some stupid shit going on to vent about. If it came off as a hate thing in any way, um sorry that it came off that way. Wasn't the intention. Wasn't what I wanted out of it. And yeah. But yeah, and then eventually, because some drama had happened in first guy's server, there were too many fucking servers. He started a second server to include a couple people that, like, at least half of the first server were not comfortable having in his first one. And he actually put it to a vote, by the way, from what I remember. So he started a second one that was basically similar to the first one with these two other people in it. And these two people had made him feel bad by gaslighting him, which these guys are masters of. One was another mod of Edwin's, and the other person was the chick who I mentioned earlier, in regards to being the secret mod. And what was I gonna say? They basically gaslighted him into feeling bad about what he was doing, which was there was a argument going on in Edwin's server at the time, and he was screen sharing to me and a chick named Chris his DMs with a dude named Monkey at the time. I don't know why he was doing this. The reason I thought at the time was just like he wanted to make sure that he wasn't coming off as an asshole, I think, to the other guy, but I don't know if that was his true intent. But yeah. But these two saw what he was doing, they assumed his intentions, and they just made him feel like shit. I still have screenshots of a lot of this shit, by the way. Because I figured I would need them if need be. And yeah, I tried to just, me and the other person that was in that voice chat tried to defend this guy, and say that was not what he was doing, but these two wouldn't listen. They ultimately left the server, and yeah. I'm not sure how necessarily to feel about this, by the way. On the one hand, they legitimately treated this guy like shit when he didn't deserve it. On the other, this guy's a major asshole, and here is why. So after this, he said to me and some other people that he was going to take a 2-week break off of Discord. He started a separate Discord account and alt, and I don't know why, but that's what he did. And he started a new server. He ended up behind my back, okay, starting a new server and invited almost everybody from his previous ones to it, minus me and another person I'm not going to talk about here, because I'm still extremely mixed on stuff that happened back then from a lot of different angles, including stuff this person did, but yeah. But he had almost everybody in there, and he also invited the two people that had made him feel like shit. Why? Why would you, like, why would you try to continue to cozy up to people that made you feel like shit, that gaslighted you about shit that you were doing, that you know you weren't doing, or weren't doing for the reasons that they thought you were, And why would you continue to have them around? This dude legitimately comes off to me like someone like I bully bullies. You know, the kind of person who's so mentally ill and stupid that they they flip-flop on shit. They don't understand how reality works. They get mad at other people for shit that they do and whatever the fuck else. This guy legitimately reminds me of fucking I bully bullies thinking back to it, you know. So yeah, and once I found out about this, I found out about this from two separate people, by the way. Um, one of whom I still know, the other one I don't remember who they were, but yeah. But once I found out about this, I just fucking cut this guy off. I defriended or unfriended him on Twitter, or I unfriended him on Discord. Believe I unfollowed him on Twitter. I should have sent him a fucking message just telling him off, but I was just fucking mad. Okay? Because I was one of the I was a person who gave this guy fucking like a lot of reassurance and like comfort in the fact that he wasn't doing anything wrong and that they were in the wrong for thinking that he was. And on top of other shit. Like, you don't do that. You don't treat people like shit who are trying to, like, back you up and make sure that you are okay. That's not something you do. You don't treat people like shit that are just trying to be a decent friend to you. You don't do that. I am owed so many fucking apologies by so many people in this fucking situation. It is not even funny. I know I'll never get them. So, like, I've accepted that by this point. However, I'm still entitled to get fucking mad at this bullshit because of how fucking stupid it is. How fucking stupid so many of these people are and were. And how fucking awfully I was treated at the time. Okay? And I'm going into this shit so you guys can understand where I'm coming from in regards to a lot of this shit. Not just the shit with Edwin, but the shit that happened elsewhere that wraps around into how I acted afterwards. Okay? But yeah, I was fucking mad at this shit. Okay? So I cut this guy off. I fucking just open season fucking vented about this shit and told everyone what had happened and how I was feeling at the time in a private server I had. The private server was a server that I still have it, just in case if I need anything from it in regards to like receipts and whatever the fuck else, that I revamped. I revamped it because I had it since January of that year. It was supposed to be for other friends that I had at the time, because at the time some shit had happened, and we were without a server. None of us were in a server together at the time, because of that shit. And I wanted to have a server basically just for keeping in touch and maintaining the good aspects of the friend group that I had at the time. You know, this was way before the shit with Edwin's server and everything. So yeah, but only 2 people came into it, and on top of that, one of them left at some point because there was nothing going on in it. But yeah, I revamped it to being a server accommodating to more people. And yeah, and I was trying to maintain as much of the community that the other guy had started as possible. I tried to maintain it as much as possible. And I had so many different, like, chats, and only one of them was dedicated to venting and shit. And talking about what was going on at the time. And I'd obviously made like announcements and shit, but that was it. Everyone could do whatever, they could vent about whatever the fuck they want. You can't fault someone for allowing people to say whatever the fuck they wanted in a fucking channel that was dedicated to talking about shit. You can't. It's fucking dumb. I also say this because Edwin in December of 2020, after I said some shit about him, I think on Twitter, said to his Discord members that the server was dedicated to getting people to hate him. He provides no evidence for this outside of our Discord DMs, to which the Discord DMs only prove that the server existed and everything. But if you actually read the Discord DMs, you can tell that he was like really being kind of manipulative about shit, because he understood at the time that the server was for venting. The reason why he knew about it is because someone sent him a screenshot of something that I said. And he made it apparent to me that he knew what the server was for. And he said to me at the time that he was okay with venting and talking about shit that was going on in the server elsewhere, but he also seemed to have a problem with like doing it with people that were in his server. I think he must have thought that like I invited people directly from his server. Not the case. Technically, I only invited one person from his server, where or because specifically they weren't in the server that I think at the very least they weren't in the server that I invited the rest of the people from. But yeah. But yeah, he got a screenshot of something I'd said where I said that any 2-bit drama or commentary YouTuber can go into his server and see the shit that was said in there and cancel him, and that I would maybe jump on the bandwagon. And definitely paraphrasing a bit, but that's basically what I said. And that was the thing that he took like issue with, and he then DM'd me and then he said the shit that he said in DMs, I said the shit that I said in DMs, and then he didn't want to talk about anything else. After making me wait 6 fucking hours since in between when he first messaged me and then we continued the conversation, to which I have to ask, what was he doing for 6 hours? Come the fuck on. And at my time as well, I was just like, I had felt so fucking like weird and stressed out about it because I didn't know why the fuck he was messaging me. But he messaged me about what I had said, but then he didn't want to talk about why I felt the way that I did, or what he could do to improve stuff, or whatever. He didn't want to discuss any of that, it seems. He didn't want to know why I said some things. He didn't care about the reason why. Okay? He just cared about the fact that I think what had happened is that he didn't, or he, that I had said that, or that I didn't remember. I basically didn't remember what I had exactly said because I had said it hours before and I didn't quite remember. And I didn't look back on what I said at the time. But he took that apparently to mean that I tried to pretend it didn't happen. Which, if you actually read our DMs, not the case whatsoever. I don't know why he would lie about that. But granted, this is the guy who fucking victimizes himself over being clipped from what he actually said in a fucking live stream, and he wouldn't admit that he was wrong about like quoting Nick DiOrio when he was actually quoting fucking I think it was someone else, Smaggle. There we go. He was quoting Smaggle, attributing it to Nick DiOrio, and wouldn't fucking admit that he was wrong about it, because he's a fucking idiot narcissist who can't fucking admit that he's wrong, unless if it's like advantageous to him. And even then, he probably doesn't think that he's wrong. But yeah. But anyways, so he didn't want to talk about it at all. And yeah, like on top of that, I said to him that I was feeling anxious about this shit, I think. And I really don't know. You see someone saying this shit about you and your server, but you're not gonna do anything proactive. Like this is the stupid bullshit about it all. Mainly with one of the mods of Edwin's server, or one of X mods now. This person specifically wanted me to talk with her in DMs about shit that was going on at the time. As I said earlier, I personally thought it was a fucking fool's errand to do so because I knew this person couldn't take criticism. And she came off so fucking cold and heartless and just mad about shit. So it's a fool's errand to talk with her about shit. Kind of the same thing with Edwin. I tried to talk with him about something so what is the word I'm looking for? Just so nebulous. Like putting YouTubers that were in his Discord server at the time in giving them the tuber role, as it was called. And the tuber role was apparently around so that one of the mods could keep track of Rabzilla, from what I remember. I don't know if that's true or not. This is something I heard, but I don't know. So then, yeah, I suggested that he put, I think it was Tipster and DiOrio, Tipster and someone who were in his server at the time, give them that role, but he just, like, didn't do anything. And I think he acted like, why would you suggest this, or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It was just fucking stupid. I don't know. But yeah, but yeah, so he can't take like the littlest bit of criticism or suggestion, and yeah, so that's 2 times now that I wanted to talk to him about shit, but he blew me off. Okay. 3rd time was a year later, in June of 2021, where I emailed him saying I wanted to talk about stuff, because he definitely had the wrong impression of me in a lot of cases, and I might have had the wrong image of him in some things, and I wanted to clear the air on some things. I wanted to talk about stuff. I wanted to talk about shit. So I emailed him about it. He didn't want to talk whatsoever. Yeah. He didn't want to talk about anything. He didn't email me back. So dumb. I don't know. But yeah, so then, that bullshit had happened. And my respect for the mods, and that guy, sunk like a fucking rock. Yeah. So anyways, we're into May, and pretty much a week or so, maybe, into the month, Edwin, and a few of his mods had a disagreement over stuff he wanted to do for his Discord server at the time. And at the time, one thing Edwin wanted to do was implement a quote-unquote bad chalupa channel. The reason for this was because he wanted to shame people who were in his Discord server for apparently bad stuff that they had done. But from the sounds of it, from what I know, um, he he um he basically just wanted to be able to shit on people under the guise of it being for, I guess, the greater good or whatever the fuck, and having examples of what not to do if you're in his Discord server and whatever the fuck else. One of the mods especially had a major disagreement with that. From what I know, and granted, take this with a grain of salt as well as it's stuff I heard secondhand, but he apparently demodded her and she then left, or maybe she left without being demodded. It's 50-50 on that, honestly, in my opinion, because I can't necessarily believe 100% what this person specifically told me about that, because I know her to be an unreliable narrator and a liar, so in a lot of instances. So yeah, so that mod ended up leaving. Two more followed her out of protest, and things just went on. Personally, I personally think that mod in particular was the worst mod Edwin's ever had, but granted, haven't been in his server since June of 2020, so maybe there was one who was worse. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, she was one of the worst mods that Edwin ever had. And yeah, so there's 3 mods gone. The other 2 left because they were friends with her as well as out of protest. And shit went on. There wasn't a lot of drama from what I remember, mainly because I wasn't like paying as much attention to Edwin's server for most of May. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of drama that went on in Edwin's server. Fancy that, the people that, or the person specifically, that had anger issues, was making shit worse for the server, and most people didn't like, which I know she probably doesn't want to hear that, or she doesn't think it, but it's just like, a lot of people in Edwin's server just didn't like you. Get over it. Or accept it. If you're not going to get over it, just accept it. And stop being mad about it. But if you still are, I'm not saying that you are, but all this shit has been bottled up for almost 3 years, so I need to let it out. But anyways, so then some other stuff went on with other friends that I had at the time. And yeah, so throughout like May, I had the server that I had. Stuff was relatively calm though for the most part. But then I guess we'll get into June. But yeah, not a lot of stuff happened in May. It was just relatively calm. It was fine. Everything was going good. But yeah, then we got into June. So, June, basically, some stuff had happened with friends of mine at the time. I think they tell a different story, but I don't really know their side of it because no one has told me. So, yeah. Shit had gotten to a point where, oh, and also, back in May after the mods left, Edwin deleted, or as I like to call it, rebooted, several chats in his Discord server. If you go into his server, or if you're a part of it now, and you look through a bunch of his chats, or like several of them, or whenever, there are no messages before a certain point in either 2020 or 2021. I know that he's deleted a few of them like since then. But yeah, the reason for that, I think, was just so there would be nothing in the chats of his server that people could use to cancel him, I guess, because of what I had said. Yeah, in June of 2020, some stuff was going on with friends that I had. I didn't think that this shit was gonna happen. So basically, this was early June. I had accidentally pissed off a friend that I had at the time. This chick is also extremely mentally ill. I don't know what the fuck that she has, but it's probably BPD. Because apparently her adoptive mom has it, and this chick might have gone through similar, like, I don't know, trauma or whatever to develop it, or it's a similar kind of mental illness. Don't know. Either way. But yeah, this chick, because of the fucking narcissism that she has, and I know that she's fucking narcissistic as hell. I had posted a couple things in my Discord server, in my private Discord server, that were intended to make people laugh when I was in a voice chat with them one night. This chick got mad because the screenshots of what they had said, they were people that she previously had problems with, that we both knew. And I did apologize for that shit because I wanted to keep the peace, and I was like half thinking about it. Then after I posted one of the screenshots, then I posted the second one, and she like got so mad at me. She compared it to Vietnam flashbacks. She posted a fucking, I think it was a video from YouTube of a dog having Nam flashbacks. And if you're thinking that this came off as very manipulative, you're right. So she then left my Discord server, kicked me from hers, unfriended me on Discord, and I think unfollowed me on Twitter pretty quickly, as did her boyfriend at the time, because he's a fucking simp who's also an idiot. Although, granted, if you're a simp, you're more than likely to be an idiot, in my opinion. But yeah. Then another friend I had at the time messaged me randomly after someone pointed out that that chick left. And I went cold. I didn't know what the fuck was happening really, and I was trying to think about things that happened. I was getting random DMs from this one person who shouldn't have known anything. A friend that I had who I thought I was on good standing with left my server and ghosted me. And it just, I don't know. I didn't know what the fuck was happening because a lot was happening really fast and I couldn't make sense of it. So I invited the chick that was messaging me into my private server to talk about things. I just wanted a general conversation. Unfortunately, people were interrupting. She was being a total cunt about it, and I just didn't know what to make of everything. I don't really think anything was accomplished with the conversation, but definitely showed me her like real nature and shit. Because this chick is so much like the chick that was the secret mod. Because she honestly tried to gaslight me. She actively lied to me about stuff that she knew very little to nothing about. And she honestly thought that she was smarter than me when it came to this shit. And this chick also owes me some apologies. I'm never gonna get them, but I'm just pointing that out. But yeah. So I had been ghosted by a few people. I was no longer in a server with friends that I had at the time. I didn't know who I could trust. I didn't know like anything in regards to what the fuck was really going on. And so my mental health, just like from trying to figure that bullshit out, dropped like a fucking rock. Like, it genuinely just got shot down. And I was just in a fucking funk for months after that shit. Because I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea what happened. And every time I tried to make sense of anything or tried to think about what the fuck happened, it just wasn't that good. It wasn't good whatsoever. Like, yeah. So after that bullshit happened, I left Edwin's server because I just didn't want to deal with it because I had had enough of anything that had come from that server. Because you got to put this into perspective. Almost every day, at least once a day, when it did happen, there was some stupid bullshit that was going on in Edwin's server most of the time. His mods and him wouldn't do anything about anything because they're fucking stupid and don't know how to run a Discord server at all. Which I also got to say this in regards to the reasons that he mods people, it's one of a few. One, tech support. He doesn't know how to use Discord that well, and so he finds people who do. He makes them a mod rather than giving them a role like tech support, which I think would be a better role to give them, because it wouldn't put certain expectations on them from other people. Because when you see someone's a mod, you think that, oh, they're going to help or they're going to maintain peace or whatever. I don't know. 2, he likes people's senses of humor, and he will bring them into his Discord server and mod them if he likes them enough. 3, actual, like, modding of his Discord server, which rarely happens, but whatever. And 4, what was the 4th reason? To give them access to the mod chat. There's really nothing much more to it than that. I'm just like, I don't know. It's just fucking stupid. So, at the very least, it makes sense to me now why, like, the server was ran as extremely poorly as it was. Because here's the stupid thing about it. Edwin could have easily done things differently. He could have had a role that was friends or something and given it to the people that he made mods instead, or a tech support role or whatever, or just given them access to that chat rather than give them the role of mod. Making someone a mod or an admin of your Discord server sets up certain expectations with other people who are coming into your server, and the expectations are that they're there to help maintain the peace, talk about, like, stupid shit that's going on in the hopes that they'll do something about it. You cannot get mad at people for thinking that because you're a mod, you're actually going to do something about, like, a stupid situation that arises, or a bad situation, or whatever. On top of that, mods, for the most part, have to have some sort of, like, professionalism and compassion, you know? And the thing about that is just, like, these people will bounce any sort of criticism off of them and will, like, deflect and say, oh, I shouldn't be blamed for this because I wasn't this, and this. And it's just like, you were a mod. You had certain responsibilities that Edwin gave you to do. You can't be mad at people for setting you with those certain expectations and then getting mad at you for not doing shit right, or getting mad at you for, like not handling certain things right, and on top of that, the lack of professionalism. You know? And even nowadays, a chick that said that I talked to, she doesn't want to accept that she did anything bad back then. Even the shit outside of Edwin's Discord server, like, this person also apparently thought at one point, until I fucking told her why I don't like her, that the reason I don't like her is, oh, Edwin mod bad. No. No. You weren't a good mod, but that's not the only reason I don't like you. I don't like you for shit that happened afterwards. But yeah, so after leaving Edwin's Discord, a friend of mine, about a month or two after that, started another server that was a parody of Edwin's. Literally, that was just the joke. That it was just like, um, it's our version of Edwin's server with blackjack and hookers. That was literally the joke. The Bender quote from Futurama. That was literally the joke, and I don't think anybody got it. Yeah, I didn't start that server. I was just invited to it. I'm still in it. Not gonna give anything away from it because yeah, but yeah, it's just another place, and there were other people in there, and they know what happened. So yeah, there was some stupid shit that happened back from that as well. But yeah, so for the rest of the summer, um, I I worked my summer job, but I was just in a funk, and then we got into 2021. I had started e-dating a chick that I knew from all that bullshit. But things didn't really work out because I kind of like got into the relationship too quickly, and I didn't even want to date her, but she was more interested in me, so yeah. Um so I gave it a shot, and for the most part it was fine for the longest time, but just ultimately things didn't work out. On top of that, like, just some other shit that happened, and I'm not like comfortable to talk about publicly right now. But yeah, I just didn't ultimately feel that way, and I don't know. I also felt like there were certain expectations placed on me that I don't believe were fair, and I also just I don't know. The fact that she lives in another country didn't help either. But yeah, um, but yeah, but I don't hate this person. Don't misconstrue it at all. I don't like I hate this or I don't hate this person. She just wasn't the kind of person I wanted to be with ultimately. Yeah, just things didn't work out, and that's just how shit goes. Yeah, we broke up in January of 2021. Um, I had gotten back into, or I should mention, over the summer of 2020, a couple times I vented about being in Edwin's server and said some shit. I don't like most of how I said what I said, and some things were just straight up misinformation. Um, that I didn't know was misinformation at the time. But yeah, and um, I'm also just gonna leave that at that because I don't look back on those months that fondly from that angle because again I was still in a funk, and yeah, and I had messaged that mod that I didn't like who left, and I'm not proud of what I had said. Not that I said anything that was truly terrible, but the mindset at the time was not good, and I regret sending her what I had said, and I apologized to her a few times in DMs. So, yeah, that was one of a few things that I was genuinely apologetic for, and I did apologize for it, so I at least feel better about it now, but I still don't look back at that time that well. So, yeah. So then, we're getting into 2021. After being an Edwin server and shit, I got back into contact with one of my friends from before all that bullshit happened. There was a new server started, um, and things were fine for the rest of that year. Um, but then we get into 2021, and this was um, this was in like I think April or May. Things had gotten so bad with the fucking friend group that I had. I'm not gonna go into a lot of details about it. Just basically, like, I don't know why those people just. Some of them started acting like assholes. Some of them acted like I was the problem with shit that was going on. Um, and none of them wanted to directly talk to me about shit. And on top of that, they were pretty callous towards my feelings and didn't understand why I didn't like what was going on. It's just like, it's not fucking rocket science. Yeah. Um, so I basically left that server that we were in. Um, because I didn't like the vibe. I didn't like what the fuck was going on. And yeah, and I yelled at the one of my longer time friends in DMs about what had happened. I still have yet to receive pretty much a single apology for what had actually happened. And from what I can tell, none of those people that acted that way are fucking self-aware enough to understand why I didn't like what happened. And I was just treated poorly. I don't know. Like, when you get to the point where you're basing a friendship on, and this is for them, not me, when you're basing a friendship on, like, or who to have around based on, like, who you can play games with and whatnot, it just. I don't know. Like, literally, that's how it got to at the time, was that, like, people were. And on top of that, it was apparently my fault that I wasn't, I guess, as conversational, I guess, as I could be. I can be very conversational. It just has to be about a topic that I actually can talk about. And on top of that, like, I'm the kind of person who, like, will listen and then, like, talk about stuff. And I'm not gonna, like, just fill dead air if I don't feel I have something to talk about. I'm not just gonna interject something, you know? But yeah, like, at the time, I had an Xbox. I had a PS4, then a PS5. Uh, and the only thing was I didn't have a gaming PC. And that was the primary platform they played on. And there were not a lot of, like, crossplay games. But the thing about it is just like, how can you base a friendship off of that? Off of, oh, what games does this person have that I can play with them? Or, hey, this person is conversational. And on top of that, like, how good I was at the games. Like, I would try to play Rocket League with a couple of these friends, and, like, because I wasn't that great at Rocket League, I'm not, like, horrible, but, like, I'm not great at Rocket League. On top of that, at the time, I had been out of practice for it. Like, I just wanted to play Rocket League to have fun, to play the game with friends and whatever the fuck else. But those friends took the game way too fucking seriously, and on top of that, like, I was basically shit talked behind my back to my face by one of them. I, yeah, that's how, like, throughout these things, like, just like, this is why I like, I don't know. This is why I like judge friendships more critically, because, like, I don't know. And this is like on top of that, like, two people specifically that kept causing fucking interpersonal drama in that group were just continually invited back and kept up with and whatever the fuck else, despite the fact that they're not good people. And yeah, and I don't even even the people that kept inviting them back and had the servers and shit, like, I don't know. They kept inviting them back, and they agreed that those people were not great people. And I just genuinely don't know. But then we're getting into the last friendship I had that was up until, it was from like, I think, September or so of 2022, May of 2021, no, 2022, because it was last year. So this was a person I was friends with the friend group I made from Edwin's server, and this person had gotten mad at me for talking about one of their like drug trips elsewhere with another person who I trusted, who could give me maybe some advice on shit that happened. This chick misunderstood like what I had said, and because I said that this person was from Edwin's server, I think she mistook that to mean that I had talked about it with that person in Edwin's server, but I didn't. I am very certain that she misread that. And before that, though, we had gotten along okay, and I was told, though, that she was shit talked by some of the other girls in the group about me. Or I was shit talked to her about, or from, or I was shit talked to her with, I guess, those other chicks from that friend group, from what she told me. But yeah, so anyways, so then what was it? Basically, our friendship was fine for the most part. She was dating one of the other friends that we had from that friend group that she still kept in contact with, and yeah, but then we got into 2021 and shit started going a bit south in like the summer of 2021, like late summer. Okay, so this chick has BPD. I know that she has it specifically. She told me. And she has one of the two types of BPD that cause narcissism. I also know that for a fact because I've done research onto this shit. And what happened was in the summer, this chick went to go visit her boyfriend at the time for about a week and a half. She went to go visit him at his house. She stayed with him for that time. They did shit together. They hung out and whatever. When she went home, though, after that, her BPD acted up, and she has told me that on a few different occasions when we talked about that shit. And she fully acknowledges it. Her BPD acted up, and she freaked the fuck out on the guy. She shit-talked him to me, and apparently a few other people as well. I think he found out about. And they eventually, or they broke up after that. Months went by in between when he was in her Discord server and we had spoken and shit like that. Eventually, she got over it and admitted that it was her um, and her mental illness that caused that breakup, and she was regretful over it and shit like that. She kept in contact with him. She let him back into her Discord server, and I had given her an invite back to the server where he was modding that I was still in, and um, yeah. So then, yeah, and everything was going fine for the most part until I believe this was February of 2022. She started having, maybe January, she started having problems. In February, I believe, um, maybe this was March, somewhere between January and March, she was diagnosed with diabetes, I believe, type 2, where you don't have to, like, have an insulin injection, you just have to maintain your insulin, um, like, maintain those levels and everything. But yeah, um, so that was already rough. And I provided her as much support as I could, just being a friend online, who literally across the country. Um, and mind you, we often just hung out in VC and Discord, played games, cracked jokes, talked about stuff. Sometimes watched movies. Whatever. She would get like high because one thing about BPD is that someone doesn't have a sense of self, and then also like, um, or they have like a shaky sense of self, and then also like because of how BPD affects a person, and especially if they don't get help for it, it can lead to drug abuse. Um, and this chick would get high constantly, like pretty much every day, if not every night. Um, and sometimes she got high when she went to work, and yeah, but yeah. So there was that. Um, then at some other point, her father, like, had asked her to cover his half of the rent for a month. I think this was in March. Yeah, I think this was March. So I think the diabetes shit was in February, and then the stuff with her dad was in March, I believe. So yeah, because he had used his half of the month's rent to do stuff with his motorcycle. I don't know if it was to like soup the shit up or get it fixed or whatever. All I know is that she said it was he spent the money on stuff for his motorcycle. Didn't provide any other details as to what. So it might have been an emergency repair or something, for all I know. I should have asked, but I just didn't. But I took her side of the time. She had kind of a mental breakdown over that, like a mini one, not like a full blown one, where mainly I think because of her BPD. And if you don't know what BPD is, it's borderline personality disorder, where it's a personality disorder that causes like here we go. I looked up an official like explanation of what it is. Borderline personality disorder is a disorder marked by emotional instability and difficulty in relationships. People with BPD have trouble regulating their moods, experiencing feelings of emptiness, and have trouble with impulsivity. But yeah, basically, that basically is why she started acting like this. She legitimately thought her father didn't love her at all because of the fact that he had her do that. I don't really know. I was going off of her word. I don't really actually know their like interpersonal relationship that well. Outside of what she had told me. But yeah. So then I think it was the next month when she had gotten a new job. Which she was all excited about and shit like that. From what I can tell, from what I've heard, I think in watching videos with people or from people with BPD. It can also cause people to like change jobs because they get like, I think they get like, they find basically, I can say this for a fact, people with BPD can start to see really negatives in a lot of shit just so they have something to complain about, rather than focusing on the positives. Mainly because BPD can also cause depression, and it can also cause narcissism. So depending on the type you have, there are 4 different types. So yeah, so I don't know. She had a fucking mental breakdown at this job, and she got ordered to go to therapy. She went to at least 1 session. I don't know if she went to the rest of them that she was supposed to, and I don't know if she went to more if she did. But yeah. Then she started treating me poorly. She did not actually tell me straight up that she didn't like talking about shit that had happened back in 2020. It did calm down after she fucking freaked out. Or I did try to lessen it. I actively tried to lessen it. Like I wouldn't bring it up, but if someone else would bring it up, I would talk about stuff. For at least a bit, or just reference something, and yeah, but that wasn't all the time. But basically, she like treated me badly. The stupidest example of this I can think of is when in DMs, she sent me a picture of an Inuyasha backpack that she got. She likes the series and everything. That's fine. I like Inuyasha to an extent as well. I just need to watch more of the show. But yeah. But I sent a GIF of Inuyasha movie 3, where Inuyasha and Shishomaru are about to face off in the movie. And she talked about how she didn't like the art style of the movies. And something about shitty sci-fi graphics, even though those weren't sci-fi graphics, but whatever. And on top of that, when we watched the movie, she actually liked it, but whatever. But I had said that, I like how the movies look better. She liked how the show looked better. And then I said I liked how the movies looked better, but because it's like it's legitimately just the fucking art style and animation from the show, put into, like, they're given a higher budget and more animation time and shit like that. It's cleaner looking, it's legitimately higher quality, and it looks better. And that's the whole point, because it's a fucking movie that went to movie theaters in Japan. But yeah, but anyways. So, she tried to justify it by saying, oh, this is how, or this is what fans fell in love with, or this is what made fans fall in love with the series, or whatever. It's just like, I'm pretty sure that the fans fell in love with the story, characters, whatever, and the animation was secondary. Because, that's how storytelling works. If you have a story that a lot of people love, they're gonna love it, no matter what's around it. If it's an animated thing, if you tell the story well, people are gonna like it, and the animation is just gonna be there to show the visuals. I don't know. I really don't know. But she decided to pick a fight with me, and decided that I was in the wrong for it. No idea fucking why. But yeah, and then it ultimately got to the point where she thought it seemed like she acted like I tried to start the fucking fight. But I didn't. I wasn't actively trying to start a fight. Fucking stupid. But anyways, she She was just... I don't fucking know. But yeah. So there was that. We didn't talk for maybe a week after, I think. Or, yeah, we didn't talk for a bit. Maybe it was like a few days. But then after that, we talked in VC. Things seemed to be okay, but then took another bit of a break. At that point, I wanted to take a fucking break from drama, from certain people, and whatever the fuck else, who were making me feel like shit just for no fucking reason. And the drama was just needless. I wanted to take a break from it. So I basically put out a tweet about that. I put that in my status on Discord as well as my bio on Discord. And I was going to take a break from her. I was going to take a break from some of the other people that I was talking to at the time. And yeah. But, yeah, that's just... Ooh. But then eventually, this was in May of 2022, this chick ghosted me. She kicked me from her server. 2 weeks prior, she left my main server. So yeah, she kicked me from hers. She unfriended me on Discord. She unfollowed me on Twitter. On top of that, she put out a tweet basically saying that she was disconnecting from some people and the reasons don't concern anybody. I'm very certain the reason concerned me. Because I was the person you were ghosting. Okay? But I digress. So, yeah, so this chick fucking... I messaged an at the time mutual friend of ours, who I'd reconnected with. It was the boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend, I guess, of the chick who ghosted me back in 2020. He had apologized for the stupid bullshit that he had said and done at the time, which is all that I wanted. I literally just wanted one apology, and for it to sound like he fucking meant it, and he did at the time. I have never done a single bad thing to this guy. I have never talked to him badly. I have never treated him badly. I have no idea why he hates me, but apparently he hates me. And what ended up happening is I tried to message this guy about what had happened a bit after it had happened, and he messaged her to tell her that I had messaged him. I assume he sent her screenshots of shit that I said in DMs. But yeah, then she subtweeted about it. She said that I was talking explicitly about her, but that was not the case. I mentioned her, but... And just to say what had happened there, but the message wasn't explicitly about her. Fucking narcissism and a half. But yeah, but then, I think it was 2 months later, maybe 3, into July. It was 2 months. 2 months later in July, I had messaged this guy again after him just not responding. And yeah, he had messaged her again. She subtweeted about it, and I fucking told him off. Because it's just like, why do that? I didn't treat you badly at all. Hell, I didn't even treat her badly. If she had any problems with me, that's on her. Like, if I did something to offend her specifically, she should have told me. And we could have talked about it. Ugh, I hate people. I hate people that are commentary community and drama community fucking orbiters and these fucking mentally ill fucking assholes. I hate this so fucking much. I'm just like, can we not act like adults for a moment here and fucking talk about shit that clearly needs to be talked about, please? Because I don't like it when people fuck with my head. And then on top of that, this chick, in regards to some of her subtweets, it seemed like she wanted me to feel bad about something specifically that I had done to her, but I didn't know what the fuck exactly she was mad at. I can't if you don't let me know what I did to piss you off or make you sad or whatever, or if I did something that caused offense in any way, and you just ghost me and don't give me a fucking reason why, I'm not gonna feel bad about what had happened. If I don't have an idea of what the fuck happened, I'm not going to care. You know, I'm not going to care in the way that you probably want me or expect me to. Especially if I like, if I know, if I can figure out, if I can see for myself that you're genuinely trying to manipulate me, I'm not going to care. I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to give a shit. Okay? I'm not going to apologize for shit that I don't feel apologetic for or don't know about. And like, yeah, I guess I don't feel apologetic for anything. I sent this chick a DM to fucking tell her off and shit. And I just left it at that. But yeah, should also note that this chick hates Repzion with a passion. I don't care much for the guy either, but I don't hate him with a passion. I don't think he's that great of a guy. But she sees, for some reason, Maya, Repzion's ex, as a tragic figure in that drama. She's trying to, I think she was trying to apply sympathy or empathy from her own experiences with bad boyfriends, bad ex-boyfriends, towards that situation. But here's the thing. I have dealt with Maya and I have seen her crazy bullshit. Maya's fucking crazy. I don't care if Maya's BPD. I don't care if she is a narcissist. I don't care if... whatever. She's fucking crazy. Okay? But yeah. So that's how that bullshit ended, and that's the last bit of fucking drama and bullshit from Edwin's server that I had to directly deal with. And now that the ties are cut, now that Edwin's canceled, I can officially wipe my hands of this shit. But there's one last thing I want to talk about. So now we're gonna cover stuff I did after getting into Edwin's, or after being out of Edwin's server in 2021, because I feel like I need to cover this, and then some other stuff that I did after that in 2022, because I feel like I need to cover it. So I said in 2020 that I had vented about Edwin's server on Twitter a few times. In 2021, after Edwin got busted for the Onision bullshit and his hacking, quote unquote, and other shit, Deity and a few other YouTubers started like doing streams and shit and videos on Edwin, and I had been periodically watching some of his streams and shit like that. In April of 2021, I had put out a screenshot that I took while in Edwin's server of him posting the lyrics to the song Ram Ranch, which he put in his server a few times and played on the voice chat because Specifically, at least one time, he posted it in there to piss off a dude named Dragon who was in there. And basically, he liked bullying the dude. I remember as well one voice chat that Dragon was in as well, that Edwin was there, where Edwin specifically like picked on him for not taking out his trash. The dude's mentally ill, and he needs a lot of help. He needs a lot of mental help. And he's a dude that sits in his house all day, fucking doesn't take out the trash, and literally just leaves his trash, I think, in the garage or some shit, is what he said. Doesn't take it out to like a dumpster or the curb or some shit, wherever the fuck, like a dump truck or some shit would pick it up and take it to a dump or whatever. Whatever the fuck they have in Scotland, and because that's where apparently the guy lives. And he's open about that shit, so not a dox. But and on top of that, it's not malicious, and I'm not giving out this guy's address because I don't know and I don't care. I don't even know the guy's name, so I don't care. But yeah. But he posted it in there. I tweeted that I didn't think it was appropriate for Edwin to post those lyrics in his server after I remembered that he did that, because of the fact that his server does have minors in it. He does have minors in his server. He has teenagers in his server, and I know because I know two of them that were in there a few years ago. One, at the time that I knew them, was like 17, almost 18. And then the other was 14. I didn't know this person. They were in the server at the same time I was, but I didn't know this person until after I was out of Edwin's server. Yeah, because the other server that the one of the friends of mine started that I mentioned a bit ago, that's how I met that other one. She was 14 at the time, and on top of that, she's autistic. So some of her mentalities and shit like that at the time and how she responded to some things, yeah. And on top of that, this girl has a reason to hate Edwin, and I've posted these on my Twitter, where she was put in the timeout chat or timeout corner or whatever it was called, and Edwin and two of his mods at the time tried to bully her into and gaslight her and manipulate her and shit like that into admitting that she was wrong about something that happened. I can't remember what the context was. Neither can she, because I tried to ask her the other day and she didn't remember either. But yeah. But it was something that she got put in timeout for, and they tried to make her apologize for it. She wouldn't, because she was bringing up stuff like Shani and I think someone else were just making people so mad that they left the server, or Edwin's server and shit like that. And the convo, I'll probably link it down below. The convo just shows that Edwin and his mods really didn't give a shit about maintaining a good, healthy atmosphere in Edwin's server. What they cared about was people bowing to their whims and them being the ones in the right. That's not good whatsoever. But yeah. So that was in 2020 still. But in 2021, I sent that screenshot to Deity. Deity ran with it as if Edwin was trying to be inappropriate with some of the minors in his server. People, for some reason, in Edwin's community very harshly disagree that there are minors in Edwin's server, and Edwin does, I think, as well. The thing about it is, as far as I can tell, Edwin doesn't have an NSFW chat and for the most part, he doesn't allow NSFW content or allow people to talk in certain ways in his server. So he really doesn't have anything to worry about, I guess, in regards to that. But there are minors in his server. He has minors in his fucking community and his audience that watches videos, and some of them are in his fucking Discord server. Don't know which ones, but like, you know, there are some in there, and it's, I don't know. But some of the people in his server claim that I went with, or that I was spreading misinformation, that Edwin was being inappropriate with those minors. That wasn't me. That was Deity. Probably some other people as well. But that wasn't me. My stance is, I don't think that was appropriate for him to post the Ram Ranch lyrics in his fucking server. I misremembered why he exactly posted those. Or actually, I didn't remember at all why he posted them, but I just thought that it was, at the time, before I talked to an ex-mod that reminded me about Dragon and informed me that's why Edwin posted those lyrics in there, because Dragon hated the song. And Edwin liked to make him mad because Edwin's a shit stirrer that likes to piss people off for his own entertainment. But yeah, because he's a fucking douchebag. But anyways, and you can see these behaviors through like VODs of his streams and other things that have come to light, and things that are still available to the public. You know, and even stuff that's available through like his Patreon or his channel memberships. You know? But yeah, so again, on and off I was watching Deity's streams. I don't agree with everything Deity was doing at the time. I don't agree that, like, at one point, and I saw old tweets of mine from the time where I did say this. At one point, I do know that Deity did kind of victimize himself at one point with something that happened to one of his streams. I think that he like got cut off, or something happened while he was streaming one time, and he immediately blamed it on Edwin or Edwin Stans or whatever. And it's like, come on. It was a situation where it wasn't readily apparent if anyone did anything that happened, but he decided to blame it on Edwin anyway. And it's just like, don't victimize yourself, please. Just don't victimize yourself. You don't look any better than Edwin if you victimize yourself, because he does it all the time. But yeah. Then there was when Deity found Edwin's real last name, and no, Deity did not dox Edwin. It was in an old video of Edwin's from like 2010, where Edwin introduced himself as Edwin, not Costa, but his real last name. And Edwin still had it public. Someone brought it to Deity's attention, and then Deity, and he didn't justify it, but he like explained it as trolling. For why he still, well, at least for still streaming Edwin's videos on his channel, he explained explained it as trolling, and everything. But I think it was to hold Edwin to a similar standard that Edwin did to Seer, where I think I said this earlier, he doxed Seer's real first name in a video of his from like, I think 2017 or 2018. I believe the point of it was to try and make people that knew who Seer was think of him as an untrustworthy person. But yeah, but Deity pretty much blasted Edwin's real last name on his Twitter at some point. I think the tweets are now deleted. But yeah, I wouldn't have done that. I didn't agree with that. And I know I didn't speak about it at the time, but at the time I also just didn't care. Um, was just like I don't agree with that. If Edwin doesn't want his real last name known, I don't think it's nice to go blasting it on social media. Um, but there were people from Deity's community, or not Deity's, Edwin's community, apparently saying that Deity doxed Edwin. No, he didn't. Like, it's not a dox if the information, um, if a YouTuber, um, has their name somewhere connected to their YouTube stuff and whatever that they're doing, their online stuff that they're doing, that is not a dox. On top of that, a dox is where you present personal information with malicious intent. I personally don't know if Deity has, or if that was with or malicious intent from Deity, because of the fact that, like, yes, he doesn't like Edwin, but he also apparently likes to troll and he likes to do that shit. I don't think there was any malicious intent there. I believe it was mainly just to hold Edwin to, or just to give Edwin a taste of his own medicine, which you can take as malicious, I guess, but I don't personally believe it was. But yeah, maybe I'm off base with that right there, but yeah. But in August of 2021, I went on some of Deity's streams for somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks. I was on some of his streams at night, and I basically talked about some of the stuff that had happened in Edwin's server at the time. I added to the conversation to some extent. I don't believe most of what I would say on there, or what I said on there, I'd really regret. But I'm just covering this to let you guys know, like, what it was. Because I was genuinely just... I didn't like Edwin at that point. And on top of that, like I said, in June of that year, after Edwin released his critic response video to Deity, I thought, okay, this is stupid. Let me try and talk with Edwin again. And I did send him an email saying I was ready to talk. And if he remembered anything from our Twitter DMs, he knew that I was easy to talk to and shit like that. But he didn't respond. I was just like, okay, fuck you, piece of shit. But yeah. So I went on some of Deity's streams. Don't necessarily regret it. I stopped after a couple weeks though, because I didn't think it was really getting me anywhere. On top of that, like, some people, Steffi, and whoever else were trying to, or were like coming at me, and that was annoying to have to deal with. So I stopped doing it because I was just like, okay, this is really not getting me anywhere, and it's having people come after me, and I don't want to have to deal with that shit. So I stopped. If you want my overall thoughts on Deity as a person or as a YouTuber or whatever, I don't hate him. I don't hate Deity. I have some criticisms of him from back then. And I just have problems with how he presents himself in a lot of things. It kind of reminds me of Slug, and if you know anything about me, I also am on friendly terms with Slug. Not to say I don't have criticisms of him or don't make fun of him or whatever the fuck, because here's the thing. I have genuine criticisms of Slug too, but Deity reminds me of how Slug does things sometimes, and a friend of Slug said, well, I guess an ex-friend, for like 10 years of Slug's, said that Slug is a grandiose narcissist in his estimation. I think Deity also has some narcissistic tendencies as well. I know that he has depression, and I've seen some people say that Deity, like, turns his back on people that, like, have criticisms of him that, like, were previously on friendly terms with him, and he was on friendly terms with them. So Deity may have BPD as well. I don't really know. I just think he should get mental help, and I assume he is. Um, but yeah, and yeah, but in regards to other things with Slug as well, in regards to how the two of them are similar, um, they both um, they both also just don't present themselves really that well to their audience. They're kind of rough around the edges, and um, they just don't want to like listen to criticisms that well. And don't want to change. And the thing about it is that comes to a thing with optics, and if you're not like the commentary community, even though a lot of people in the commentary community are not good people, they care about optics way too fucking much. And if you don't present yourself well enough optically, they will shit on you for it. They'll find whatever they can to shit on you for it. And I can admit that I haven't presented myself well or that well optically. So, yeah. People can shit on me all they want for me being on D&D streams. I don't really regret a lot of that, and I don't think D&D's that bad of a person like by nature. I just think that he at points doesn't present himself well, and he didn't do himself any favors with continually streaming about Edwin. I have said this to other people in private. I wouldn't have done endless streams on Edwin for like half a year, or a little bit over half a year. What I would have done was just make some videos on certain topics relating to Edwin or his dramas or whatever. Put out those videos and just let that be, because I think that that's all that was needed. Stream reacting to a bunch of his old videos and presenting himself the way that he did invited criticism. But yeah. So that's just all I want to say on D&D. Now, for the rest of 2020, I had basically just reserved myself to, okay, no one's going to listen. Edwin's not going to get, like, any comeuppance anytime soon for his stupid bullshit from over the years, which, by the way, watching some of D&D streams actually helped me, like, be able to better judge Edwin from watching his old content, because a lot of Edwin's old content is not that good. Granted, a lot of his current content, if not all of it, is not that good either. But there are patterns of behavior that he has exhibited over the years that if you get a hold of a lot of his older videos, you will see. You will see. I hope that whoever the fuck has a lot of the other videos that Dasha doesn't have downloads of, to prove. Basically, Dasha, my thing of Dasha is, yes, Dasha became obsessed with the drama. What she became obsessed with specifically, though, was proving Edwin was a hypocrite and he isn't who he was presenting himself as. And he privated a lot of videos that made him look bad, so he could present himself as this altruistic guy who was above all this bullshit, and he cared about victims because he was also one and shit like that. Well, just think of the Mama Max shit. But anyways, yeah. But Edwin also got obsessed, in my opinion, with it. He got obsessed with continually wanting to cancel, or keep canceled, I guess, Seer and Dasha, and make them look bad at all costs. It gets to the point where in his critic response video to Beanspill in 2021, half of it was devoted to Dasha. And what he wanted to do for the video was get Chandler Riggs to give him information on Dasha, but Chandler Riggs wasn't wanting to give him it, so he basically just didn't include that shit because there was nothing for him to work with, I assume. And then Edwin, so it was a mutual sort of like very toxic, very stupid, very whatever drama. And in my opinion, it's all Edwin's fault. Because it's just like he could have left it alone. He could have just started doing commentary videos and whatever the fuck else. And he could have just left it at, oh, things didn't work out. Everybody's at fault for shit that happened, and I can't live with those people anymore. But no, he had to fucking choose violence. But yeah. But in 2022, towards the end of 2021, I gotta say, I was in Steve DeLive's old Discord server. Apparently, it's now deleted. Because I liked Steve's content at the time for the most part. Because he was calling out YouTubers that I think needed to be called out. Like, he called out Repsion. He called out, over the Maya shit, he called out Repsion. He called out Edwin and Tipster and whoever else. But then in late 2021, he allowed Maya into his Discord server because apparently they're friends and he had a crush on her. Ugh. So after about a month or two of having to deal with Maya's crazy bullshit, I left in I think it was late December or early January. Yeah, it was early January. And I was invited to, before I left, I was invited to Jane, Rabbi Jane, her Discord server by, at the time, a mod of hers. And I got so mad at Steve because he treated me like shit. He treated several other people like shit. Because I have empathy for other people. It was so fucking dumb. But yeah, so then I spent most of 2022, or at least the first half of it, giving Jane, emotional support over the Maya shit. And I'm only covering this to cover my bases in regards to people I've associated with over the last, almost 3 years. So, yeah, I provided emotional support. I was in some of the, more secretive chats and one secret server that she had at the time. I've done an entire fucking twit longer talking about my problems with Jane and some of the other people associated with her and everything. And yeah, it's on my Twitter if you can find it. But yeah, it's also, I think I published it to my subreddit, so if you want to go read it there. But yeah, so anyways, that basically went to disaster because it was supposed to be over by the summer, by April or May. Things were fine over that summer. And there wasn't any drama or anything. That was fine. That was good. Then, September rolled around, and apparently she had a private eye, spying on Maya and Steven, befriending them. Yeah. And yeah, my opinion of Jane, though, before then was already not that great. She was friends with a friend of mine who wanted to invite her out to go visit her in Washington doing shit, but this friend of mine wasn't up or wasn't feeling it and had anxiety over that shit. On top of that, had pets to have to deal with. And Jane wasn't really feeling her feelings on top of that, or wasn't really taking into account her feelings on that shit. And then on top of that, Jane took this person's autism and introduced her as her autistic friend, or tried to blame people for tried to make people bad, tried to make people feel bad for manipulating her by saying that she has autism or whatever the fuck. Just some really fucking stupid shit. And if Jane is on the autism spectrum, or if one of her daughters is on the autism spectrum, like she claimed in that server, or in one of her servers, you should be more empathetic and shit to that. But whatever. And then Jane started acting crazy. And yeah, so and then apparently about a month after that, another friend of mine who was in one of Jane's private chats, Jane said that she expected that person to come back after about a month. So Jane didn't know, maybe she didn't know what the fuck she did wrong, but the thing about it is as well, she didn't feel apologetic to anything, and she genuinely thought that that person was just going to come back to her and, I guess, forgive and forget and whatever the fuck. Even though that she was not, this person was not given any fucking apologies. I don't know. They say time heals all wounds. It's bullshit, but whatever. It just makes it more easy to deal with, I guess, for mental wounds, basically. Yeah. Then I said that on a Slug stream, and I'll get to Slug in a second. And Jane just banned me from her Discord server, and banned a bunch of other people from her Discord server that had been, like, very, had been very supportive of her since early that year. And some people were just neutral, and some people just provided a lot of that shit. This is after deleting a chat in her server that had to deal with, where people talked about, Maya and Steve and whatever the fuck else, as well as kicking people from the secret server that she had, that Slug made for her. Yeah, so I burned that bridge by putting out the fucking Twitlongers. But yeah, so now to Angry Slug, and I just have to cover this because there are people that genuinely want to make me look bad if I release my old Twitter DMs with Edwin. So I'm just going to cover it. So I'm just covering this shit here. Slug, I don't hate Slug. I hate shit that he's done. And I have criticisms of him. This is similar to how I feel about Deity for the most part. But I don't hate him. I'm not, like, neutral to positive terms with him. I don't want to be his enemy. And I really don't give a fuck if people care. Judge me for me, don't judge me but for people that I associate with. Okay? Unless if I say I stand by what this person says, or whatever, or you've seen me express similar, like, things, don't guilt by associate me. Okay? Just because I'm on some streams with somebody, or I follow somebody on Twitter, or I'm in someone's Discord server, does not automatically mean I agree with everything that they say and do. Like, yeah. I'm just gonna say that because the Edwin shit should really prove that. I didn't like shit that happened in Edwin's server. And I have my own brain. I have my own thoughts on shit. So, yeah. In the future, I'm going to stay out of commentary, drama, and bullshit, and whatever else. It's not my bag. It's not something I should have ever been involved with in the first place. I got too involved almost 3 years ago. I regret it very immensely. And if I could go back in time and change things, I would. I would. But yeah. People are gonna respond to this how they will. And I will ignore them. But anyways, so, because I judge myself for these things myself. You don't have to fucking remind me. But yeah. So, I really don't have much else to say for this. So, this is just something I wanted to get off my chest and have things that cover it. Took 3 hours. But I'm done. But it's done. It's dusted. And I'm out. So, hope you guys enjoy this. This is also, like, I think episode 1 of... the official episode 1 of my podcast, because the interview with Dasha was episode 0. Sort of a pilot. I'll try my very best to refrain from talking about certain drama in the future. I don't promise to not make videos on, like, certain dramas in the future. If I feel like I have something to say and I feel like it needs to be said, I may talk about shit on Twitter. But I'm not going to be focusing on drama anymore. I'm going to try to not let this shit affect me, because, like, in regards to, like, mainly the Edwin shit, like, a lot of that shit fucked me up. I won't lie, a lot of that shit fucked me up for a while. I dealt with people that were terrible. I dealt with people that are mentally ill. They're not apologetic for anything that happened, that they did that was wrong. They treat you like shit because they have no idea how people work. They assume shit. They are very bad faith. They don't want to talk to you about anything, to clear the air or anything, or come to an understanding. And even if they themselves are open about stuff on their own platform connected to their own name and face and shit, they don't want you talking about it. I unfortunately made some enemies in Edwin's server. And I very much regret going into that server. As I said before, if I could go back in time and, like, tell my younger self not to do that, I would. I would very much love to do that, because I hate what it has brought. I hate just everything that's happened since then in regards to, like, the internet drama bullshit. It hasn't been easy. But now that everyone's canceled, I'm good. I'm honestly good. I'm getting better. I was already basically gonna just move on finally, like, fully anyways, because I resigned myself to the fact that Edwin's not going to get any comeuppance. He's not going to get anything. But now he has, because he fucked it up for himself. I figured it was going to happen at some point. I just didn't know when. So yeah. So I don't really have much else to say. Links in the description to all my shit. Subscribe if you want. And I'll see you guys in the next one.